And welcome back for another edition of the Hawkeye Nation Hawkeye History Podcast. I am Rob Howe, publisher of HawkeyeNation.com, and I'm happy to be joined today by former Hawkeye and NFL offensive lineman Adam Gettis. And how are things going, Adam, in this upside down 2020?
2020 has been crazy. To say the least. There's a lot of things going on, a few ups, more downs, but as a country, better that we all come together and try to figure this stuff out.
Before we started recording, I saw your son is going to be one on Thursday. Is that your first child, or do you have a bigger family?
No, this is my one and only child. And only child. So yeah, we're excited. We're excited for Thursday. Excited to have a first birthday. He doesn't know what's going on, but me and his mom are very excited. So we're ecstatic.
He'll get it when he starts looking and sees those presents and the cake and all that other stuff. He'll get tuned in real quick.
Oh yeah, well he has a ton of presents and a ton of toys. We don't even know where to put half these toys. So yeah, it should be good. It should be good.
Where are you living now?
I'm in Houston.
Oh, okay. Texas. How long you been there?
Since 2018.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So we'll get back and check out your NFL stuff more than that. I noticed on your Twitter, Comic Con. This is I know other Hawkeyes are into this type of thing. I think Julian Vandevelde maybe, and Mike Daniels, and
I got stories.
You guys have your crew on this. For those of us uninitiated, what is it, and what type of vibe do you guys get that you're into?
It's just a getaway from reality. I think that's really what it is. I can only speak for myself, Julian, and Mike, because we're all still really close. But it's kind of our getaway from football, from daily life. Sorry, it's a little loud. He's banging stuff out here, but we like to watch cartoon. Well, essentially, anime is just cartoons about different things. You have animes about sports. You have animes about daily life. You have pretty much animes. It can be about anything. So, like I said, it's just getting away from reality a little bit and enjoying animation. Voice actors do a great job. So it's just a little bit of everything.
And you guys were all at Iowa, at the same time. Did you guys get into this? Were you guys into this when you were here?
So I actually got a story about it. Me and Julian actually got in trouble for going to an anime convention during football camp. So we were at football camp. We stayed at I forgot what that hotel is by the water.
What, the Marriott?
It was the Marriott.
Yeah.
The Marriott. So they have a Comic-Con every year at Iowa. I don't know if they still do it, but this was 2008, I want to say.
Okay.
So we had a curfew about 10 o'clock. I think it was 9 or 10 o'clock. And we had bed check. And me and Julian are like, all right, we're roommates. We're going to go down and check it out, have a good time, get back before curfew. So we're watching these different videos in the different rooms, and everybody's dressed up, and we're just so fascinated. And all of a sudden, we get up on this anime that we really like. It's like 8:55, and we're like, all right, it's time to leave. We don't leave. So we get back upstairs around like 9:05, and nobody says anything. The next day, Kurt calls us up, and he's like, did you guys really miss bed check because of anime? And we're like, yeah. So we got a little trouble. We had to do some rolls, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth it.
And I saw that, like I said, on your Twitter, that you were doing a Q&A. Have you just become more involved with this over time?
Yeah. I feel like if you really like something, you want to get involved as much as possible with it. So anime is one of those things that I really have a passion about and I really appreciate. So I've been in contact with different companies like Funimation and Crunchyroll. I've been to San Diego Comic-Con, I think 4 times now. Been going since 2015 or 16. So I just really enjoy it, and I make it my hobby, and I love it.
Cool. Was that something that I know anime's not been around, or at least not been popular for a long, long time? But were you attracted to that kind of like animation and stuff when you were young, when you were little?
I was. So cartoons have always been my thing. I love cartoons. I didn't even know about anime before cartoons. You know, you don't know what an anime is when
Right.
you're 6, 7, 8 years old. So I used to watch a lot of Dragon Ball Z just at home or
Hmm.
in my parents' van. I didn't know it was anime. So once the internet started becoming popular, I looked it up, you know, Dragon Ball Z, looking up all the videos, and they're like, anime, anime. I'm like, this is just a cartoon on Cartoon Network, you know. Yeah, son. And so I was like, okay, the anime, let me check this out. And then there's just a plethora of things you can find online about anime. That's what really got me into it.
Were sports big for you early on in life? Was that kind of were those like two of your main interests when you were younger?
Yeah, sports was my number one interest, I have to say, because I started playing sports. I started playing t-ball when I was 4 years old, and played let's see, t-ball, then baseball, and then I bowled for about 12 years. That was my main sport. Ended up being my main sport. My dad was a really good bowler, really really good bowler. Could have went PBA if he wanted to, but
Really?
yeah, he was really good. I think he had like maybe 4 or 5 300 games. He was really good.
Wow.
And then I got into it. Then we started traveling the country bowling. I was in 2 or 3 leagues a year, and we would travel. We traveled to Cincinnati. We traveled to Indiana. We've been all over bowling for different competitions, different tournaments. And then I started playing basketball because, you know, kid from Chicago, everybody plays basketball. So I'm like,
Right.
I got to do it. I got to do it. So my dad started the basketball camp and played basketball. And then high school, played football, basketball, and track. So been all over in the sports world.
So did you bowl in high school too? Was there a bowling team, or was it more just leagues away from high school?
So there was a bowling team, and I really wanted to join the bowling team. But when I was signing up for sports for high school in 8th grade, the football coach came up to me. I was about 6'2", like 260 pounds. I was a big kid.
Uh-huh.
And he comes up to me. He's like, "Do you play football?" I'm like, "No, I don't play football. I'm about to go sign up for bowling." He's like, "No, you're not. You're about to play football." I'm like, "I don't want to play football." And he's like, "Well, if you don't like football, just come to the first day. If you don't like it, you can go home. But all your friends are signing up, so you know, just give it a try." And that's how I started playing football.
So that was so football seems like it was kind of one of the later sports that you even tried. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I was always too big to play
Yeah.
at my age range in football. I was always the bigger kid, and my mom was like, "No, you're not gonna be playing with 8th graders and you're in 5th grade." So um, that was just football was never a focus for me. My dad and my uncle always wanted me to play football because my uncle he got a scholarship to play at St. Joe. In India, is that Indiana? Yeah, I think that's Indiana. And he's always wanted me to play football. He's kind of one of the driving forces that helped me to get into the football realm. So yeah, it was on the back burner for me though.
So what was it like when you first got out there and it's football? I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but just the physical nature of football is so much different than other sports.
I loved it because I've always been a big physical kid, so wasn't nothing unnatural to me.
All the
I
things
remember
they
my
told you couldn't do in basketball, you were like, all right.
exactly. I was a big kid down low. I was a football player playing basketball during the basketball game. So it was nothing unnatural for me. I remember my first game. I was playing defensive tackle and defensive end, and I just was just throwing kids around. I was just bigger than everybody else, so throwing kids around. I'm like, I kind of like this. I had like 13 tackles, 2 sacks, playing defensive tackle at the time. So I loved it. I fell in love with it really quick.
um, at what point in high school did you realize, hey, this is something that might get me a free education?
Um, maybe it was probably sophomore year. My coaches always kind of said I had 2 great football coaches who I owe my career to, Coach Rob Zavonar and Jack Eddy. Rob Zavonar is the head coach of Lincoln Way East, and Jack Eddy was the offensive line coach at the time. And they always saw something in me that they thought could go, and play at another level, at the college level. So they always would tell me, hey, you have an opportunity to be something great here. There's another guy named Otto Linwood that got a scholarship to Miami of Ohio. And they always kind of saw similarities between me and him. They're like, well, Otto got a scholarship. You can do this. You guys have similar skills. You can be better than him. So I always took that to heart, and they saw the potential in me since day one. Like I said, Coach Zavonar said, hey, you should play football because I think you'd be pretty good. So he saw it way before I saw it. So probably sophomore year is actually when I got my first letter, and I want to say it was from University of North Carolina. Actually, it was my
Wow.
first letter. And I thought that was really cool, and I was like, okay, maybe I have to take this a little bit more serious. Yeah.
Did you play both ways in high school?
I did. Defensive tackle, defensive end, offensive tackle, tight end when we needed it, but we were wing T, so we barely used it.
Right.
But yeah, play a little bit of everything.
What was the competition like in Chicago? I think it's one of those underrated areas in the country where there's some really, really good players in the Chicago area, but you hear Texas, California, Ohio. Chicago might be underrated.
Chicago's very underrated when it comes to football. You see guys. I'll just stick with the Iowa guys. Brian Balaga's still in the NFL. He's been playing since we came out the same year, and he's still playing. And another guy, Marcus Zusevic, who would be still playing if he didn't get injured in the combine.
Yeah.
Those are just two examples of some great Chicago football players, offensive linemen that have proven that they're great players. And that's just an inch of the talent that's in Chicago. Arthur Ray, he was a Michigan State guy, played for the Dolphins. I can name like 30 dudes. I don't even want to go that far, but still all great friends of mine, great guys, and I'm glad to be a part of that Chicago heritage when it comes to football.
Yeah, I think Chicago's known for basketball, kind of like Indiana's known for basketball, but Indianapolis is a really good area for high school football too. So I think sometimes that gets overlooked. Kind of when you talked about North Carolina sending the first letter, when did things start to pick up in recruiting?
Probably junior year. Junior year, I was on varsity my sophomore year. One of the centers got hurt, and they're like, "Well, you only play football for a year, but I think you got this. You're gonna move from D tackle to center, but I think you can handle it." I'm like, offensive line, nah. But he made me do it, so I'm appreciative now. But I forgot what we were talking about.
We were talking about recruiting, just kind of how things started to pick up
Yeah.
and schools come
That's
in.
right.
I know schools start to come to your school, then you start to take visits and offers
Right.
come. Just kind of take us through that process.
So junior year was when it really picked up. I started getting handwritten letters. That was a big thing back then. I don't even know if they do those anymore because technology. But started getting handwritten letters. Northern Illinois was actually my first offer. They offered me the same day I was going to state for shot put and discus. So that was really exciting. Who else was big? It was Northern Illinois, all the MAC schools, Northern Illinois, Western Illinois, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan offered me. The biggest school was Iowa. I was getting recruited by a little bit of everybody: Purdue, Wisconsin, Iowa State. So a few big schools, but nobody really wanted to pull the trigger because at the time I was 220 pounds, playing offensive line, and most schools actually wanted me for defensive end because I was so small, but my expertise was offensive line. I took a few camps. I went to the Purdue camp and I was a defensive end for their camp. I went to the it wasn't Northern. I went to the Iowa camp, and that's really where it took off for me. Josh Brent was a big name at the time, and he ended up playing for the Cowboys and a few other guys. I think he was a 5-star recruit. He's the best defensive tackle second best defensive tackle behind Marvin Austin. And we were in camp together at Iowa, and I pancaked him. He was destroying everybody the whole day. He was massive at the time. And I hate to say it, but he probably tripped, and I pancaked him. And they're like, "Oh my God, you pancaked Josh Brent. Oh my gosh, do it again." And he didn't destroy me, but it was pretty big. He went after me the the next play. But that's when Iowa was like, okay, this guy has some potential. He's small, but he's, hanging with 5-star recruits, guys that are going to make it to the NFL. Let's see what they can do or see what we can do with them. And I took a visit to Illinois, Northern Illinois, for Northern. Actually, they wanted me bad. They were going to give me Larry English's number. He was the big guy at the time. He was first round draft pick going to the league. They wanted to give me his number. I was going to start my freshman year and all this good stuff. It didn't happen, but Northern was actually my second choice when it came to school. So I am appreciative of Northern, very appreciative.
So, Adam, was it just a matter of Big Ten versus MAC, or what else was involved in that decision?
It was big. It was Big Ten versus MAC. I felt like I had a better opportunity going to Iowa, being an offensive lineman, versus going to Northern Illinois being a defensive lineman. I played 3 years offensive line, and I knew that was my niche, and that's just something I wanted to stick with. I really enjoyed it. Coach Eddie really made offensive line play a joy for me, so I wanted to stick with it. And Iowa being, the offensive lineman factory that it is, I knew I had the opportunity to maybe be something there. I was just excited to play. I was just like, all right, if I get there, and if I play, I'll be happy regardless of anything else. I never thought about NFL, never thought about making it to the league or any of that. But I said, if I can be anything near Marshall Yonda, I'll be a happy guy. So that was my measuring stick at all times, actually.
So what was the progression like for you? You seem like one of those. You were a 2-star, I think, maybe a 3-star, 2-star, 3-star. No. What was the progression for you in college, and what was that process like for you before you could get on the field?
So when I first got there, I was 227 pounds on the first day as an offensive lineman. So for me, I'm like, I'm probably not going to do anything here. We'll see. I have some confidence in myself, but I'm like, all right. I'm looking at Rob Brueggemann and Seth Olsen on the first day. I'm like, these guys are like 6'6", 6'7", 320. I don't think I'm ever going to. But started off at 227. They had a great weight program. Coach Doyle, who's a great coach, I'll say that. He was a great coach, and he was great at what he did. He got me to where I was 250 pounds that December. So from July to December, I got from 227 to 250.
Wow.
And I went down to 2% body fat, which was nuts. Yeah. So he did his job when it came to that. Didn't play, redshirted my first year. Second year, got to play, I think it was Florida International. No, it's Florida Atlantic or Florida. No, it's Florida International, and it was either Ball State or somebody else. I got to play the first couple games. Arizona State, I think, was one of the teams. Not Arizona State, Arkansas State. And I actually played pretty well considering I was 250 pounds playing offensive guard. Then sophomore year came up, same thing, played like the first couple games, played well, for what I thought. I was about 270 at the time. And then my junior and senior year, I played around 280, and that's when I really got my opportunity to play. Coach Reese Morgan, who was like a father figure to me and still is, great guy. He actually gave me the opportunity to play when some other coaches didn't think I was ready to play, and I'm grateful to this day for that guy. Just very thankful for Coach Morgan.
I'm trying to remember. Did you have some injury issues too that kind of kept you off the field a little bit during some of those years?
Yeah. So my junior year, I was slated to start the whole year.
That's right.
A week before the first game, I had a high ankle sprain in my left ankle. And then I think Jeff Keppel played. But I was fine. I think it was the Iowa State game. I came off an injury, but they were like, hey, Keppel just got hit by a truck, so it was a cool story to have for him. So I'm like, okay.
Moped. I remember that video, man.
Yeah, it's crazy to this day. I'm happy he's alive. But
yeah,
they gave him the opportunity. I'm like, okay, it kind of hurts my chances for anything. like I said, I wasn't thinking NFL or anything. I just wanted to play because I love
Right.
football. Wanted to play. So I was kind of upset, but it gave somebody else the opportunity. So I, kind of okay, kind of not okay with it. And then I ended up playing the Michigan in the Michigan State game. We were at Michigan and we ended up winning, which was really cool. That was probably my favorite game. Then Michigan State, I got hurt again, and I got rolled up on after we were up 30-0 after halftime. They kept us in the first play out of halftime. I rolled my right ankle. It was out for the rest of the season. So those are the injuries that really, really took me out those couple of years.
How do you deal with something like that mentally? Going, you're working your ass off for 3 years to get to be a starter, both from a football standpoint, from a physical standpoint. You get your chance, and then, it's out of your control. And then is the mental part of that almost as difficult as the physical rehab?
It's more taxing than the physical rehab. As a player, your body's going to get better and you're going to get back to what you were doing, but mentally it changes you. When you get back on the field, it's like, all right, can I do this? Can I take that left step? Can I take that wide range step, like I used to? And because you're still going to feel some aches and pains, and you don't know how you're going to feel about it when you're out on the field. But you got to learn to retrust yourself, retrust your mental. Everything really fell back on my fundamentals at that time. That's what Coach Morgan really taught me. Falling back on your fundamentals, even when you may have a bum ankle or you got a sore elbow or something. So, but mentally, it is. Even when I was in the league, mentally, it is the hardest thing, being separated from your friends because they're at practice. They're looking at you like, all right, it's been about 5 weeks. You should be all right by now. But, physically you can't do it, but they think you can do it. So it's tough mentally on a lot of guys, and, some more than others. Some guys come out of it really good. RG3 was a great example of a guy that can come off an injury and just be all right mentally. And you got some guys that are just, after an injury, it's over with for them. So, like I said, mentally it's tough.
What are some of your fondest memories? You were here during a pretty good stretch of Iowa football from 08 to, or 07 to 11, right? You were 07 to 11?
Yeah.
So good stretch there. I mean, the 08 season with Sean Green, and 2009, obviously the Orange Bowl, 2010 beat Missouri in the Insight, 2011 played Oklahoma in the Insight. What are some of the memories that stick out most to you?
Sean Green, like you said, that was one of the coolest seasons I've ever been a part of, from high school all the way to the pros. That was one of the coolest things I got to see. He was runner-up for the Doak Walker Award, or
he won
Heisman or something like that.
He won the Doak
Heisman,
Walker.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Right, he won Doak. And he was like 5th for Heisman. Man, I've never seen a back run like that since then in college. There's been some greats, Jordan, what's his name? Jordan Taylor from Wisconsin, some other guys. Mm-hmm. But Sean Green, man, that was an awesome season. What was another one? I was kind of upset the Missouri, the junior year Missouri game, the one we won, because I didn't get to play, obviously, because of injury, but I was fine. I didn't get to play, but like I said, I understood where it was coming from. So I was a little taken aback by that one. Just being around the guys, really, just waking up every morning at 6 o'clock, walking from the dorm to practice every day, and it's snowing like crazy. It's 10 inches of snow on the ground, and they're telling us, don't walk through the hospital because, you guys make too much ruckus. We're like, we're just trying to stay warm. Stuff like that. Those are probably my fondest memories, being with the guys, being in the dorms, hanging out with like guys like Mike Daniels, Christian Ballard, LeBron Daniel. Just hanging out with the guys is probably my favorite.
What did you study at Iowa? What was your degree in?
Interdepartmental studies. So I started off in a business degree, didn't work out. So me and my counselor, I forgot his first name, but Mr. Wolf, we decided to go the interdepartmental studies route, where you can kind of pick the different courses you wanted to do and kind of intermingle them into a degree. And I thought that was really cool.
What was your experience like? Just not away from football at Iowa, just kind of on campus and in classes. And was that a good experience?
Yeah, it was good. It was a great experience. Being a kid that never thought he would go to college and being able to go to college,
Hmm.
it was huge. So I didn't take it with a grain of salt. It was something that I really cherished. Knowing I'm getting a free degree, which is huge, especially in my family. I think in my family, my immediate family, I'm the first one to finish college. So it was pretty big for me. Getting up every day, taking the bus. I didn't get to take the bus in high school. Well, not in high school, but just the normal bus and taking
Right.
to the classes and stuff. Uh, just the whole experience as a whole, it was cool. Getting meals and hanging out with not just the football players, but the people that were at the school period. And everybody was really cool. I never had, well, I'm not saying I never had any troubles because there were a few times where some stuff happened, but I had an awesome experience. The day-to-day life at Iowa was something that I cherish to this day. It was dope. It was really
Cool.
dope.
So after that, the Insight Bowl against Oklahoma, it's time to get ready for the draft. Take us through that process and kind of that preparation and then you were taking what, in the fifth round pick
Yeah,
for.
fifth round. Yeah.
Okay.
So Inside Bowl happens. The camera falls on us on the offensive side of the ball,
Almost got
picking up the
Marvin.
camera. Yeah, I was right next to him. Right next to him, pulling the camera cable away. But that goes down. Everybody's crying after the game because seniors, we all loved each other. We were really tight. We were already in Arizona, and I trained in Arizona. So that next day, I woke up and my agent picked me up, and we went straight into training the next day.
Oh, wow.
Um, what was the place called? Ian Danny's place. I think it's called Ian Danny's Central. That's where James Harrison trained when he was in the league.
Hmm.
Trying to think who else. There's a few guys. Man, I can't think of the defensive end for the Ravens at the time, the Big T. But he was there too.
Suggs?
Terrell Suggs. There you go.
Yeah.
Terrell Suggs. A lot of big name guys were there. Got to train with some great guys. Tebow was there for a hot second. But like I said, we went straight to work, not knowing I was gonna, be in the NFL. I knew I had an opportunity to get drafted. I should say. I knew I was gonna be in the NFL. I just didn't know how it was gonna shake out. So we always prepared for the NFL Pro Day. So training and training for the Pro Day. Didn't hear anything about the what is it called, the combine. Until 2 weeks before the combine, they called me and said, "Hey, we want to get you in the combine. Some guys dropped out, and we want to get you in here." So I'm like, "All right, so, cool."
Yeah.
So kept on training. Like I said, Ian Danny was one of the best trainers I've ever had. Period. Excuse me. And we just kept the same training regimen. And Barry, I should say Ian Danny and Barry Gardner. Barry Gardner's
Yeah.
agent now himself. I think he's got Taylor from Wisconsin. And we go out there every day and just work our ass off, literally. And I was running 4.8s, like sub 4.89s. 4.89s to 4.492s, and in that area. So I already knew I was going to do well at the combine. So combine day shows up, I think it's like February 24th or something like that. In the back of my mind, I already knew that I was going to perform well. I didn't know how well, but I knew I was going to perform pretty well, just seeing my numbers on a daily basis. But it was a shock seeing guys there, big name guys like RG3 and Andrew Luck, Tannehill, other guys. Because I really didn't see Balaga. Balaga's a year older than me. I didn't see like Zeus because they split it up by name, last name. So I was the front half. So I really didn't see too many guys that I knew in the front half. But seeing guys that, you read about, who was that offensive lineman that was, David Castro was the big name at the time, and got to play with him when I was with the Steelers. So everybody's like, oh, Castro. And I'm like, oh, that is Dave DeCastro. It was cool seeing, the people you read about and the people that are going to get drafted high. So that was kind of a cool experience and a long, long process. And like I said, I knew I was going to perform well. So ended up having the combine. I run my 40, and all of a sudden, me and some of the other guys, Ben Jones and a couple other guys, Reshaw Johnson and a few other guys were sitting there, and our phones start going off. We're like, okay, of course they're talking about the combine. And they're like, somebody ran a 4.91 or 4.91. And I'm like, who ran a 4.9? I knew I was going to do well, but didn't know how well. And everybody's like, yeah, that was me. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably, yeah, you're right. It's probably you guys. So, because they don't tell you your times when you're running. So after the combine, I saw my name was trending on Twitter. I was like, oh shoot, that's me. So I was freaking out, and everybody was texting me. Facebook wasn't that big at the time, but it's starting to blow up. So Facebook, Instagram, all that. And that's when I kind of knew, like, okay, I can do this. This is huge for me. And then when draft time came around, and some people have draft parties, some people go out, go fishing. I went to my grandmother's house because I wanted my family to be together and have everybody that really believed in me since day one be there. And that's what happened. And we're just in the basement. First round goes by. I already knew that wasn't gonna happen. My agent calls me that day, the first round. He's like, you're gonna the Texans called and they said they're gonna pick you up. What was it? Third pick in the third round. I think it was like the 99th pick. So I'm like, all right, cool. That's what they said. I'm going to go to the Texans third round. Great. Second round comes. All right. Third round comes. Texans pick comes up. Oh, son. Texans pick comes up. 99th pick, Brandon Brooks. And I'm like, wait, what? Never heard of this guy, big old guy. He didn't go to the combine. So I'm like, ooh. So Brandon Brooks goes up. So I'm like, all right, what's going to happen next? The next day comes. I get a call from who was the coach at the time? From the Washington. It was the Washington Redskins. And Mike Shanahan called me. Hey, we want to bring you in, work with you. I can't wait to work with you. Blah 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 blah. Dan Snyder was on the phone, the owner of the Redskins, and we talked. And they're like, all right, great. See you next week. I'm like, next week? I didn't know how the process works. I'm like, next week already? I don't get to celebrate. So we literally left the next week and got to work for rookie minicamp. So that was kind of the process of, right after the bowl to first day of NFL.
The guys that get picked early, as you talked about, the guys in first, second, third round, they kind of have a leg up when you get to camp, because
Right.
You got to make the GMs look good if they're picking you that high.
Exactly.
It's all part of the system. What was it like for you as a fifth rounder, having to prove yourself, and then being able to do that, and then carve out a career for yourself? I think you buck the odds, man. A lot of times guys that are in your position don't make it as long as you made it and got to play as long as you got to play.
Yeah, I was very blessed. Like the rookie minicamp, I saw names like Josh Oglesby was going to be at the Washington camp. I'm like, Josh Oglesby, he was the number one player coming out of high school, I think it was. And he went to Wisconsin as an offensive lineman. He's coming to my camp. This ain't good. So not knowing the process and how drafting works and how free agency works, I'm like, this guy's going to beat me out. But, finding out, he didn't make it, and, I was drafted, so I was slated to make the team. It was tough. Like I said, I've been very blessed. 5 different football teams, not a non-starter, a 280-pound offensive lineman in the league, making it that long, and just taking it step by step every day. That's what it comes down to. If you can take it step by step every day and treat every day like it's your last, that's what makes it easy. That's what makes it easy for you. That's what makes it easy on the coaches, because they can trust you. I had a coach come up to me, actually not even just one coach. It's probably like legit 7 coaches saying, oh, you're an Iowa guy? And I'm like, yeah, I'm an Iowa guy. We said, we would have never expected you to be an Iowa guy, dreads and that. Like, no, I'm an Iowa guy. So they're like, you Iowa guys, especially offensive linemen, are so dependable. We don't have to worry about you guys. You guys are smart. You guys, know how to make your way around the NFL, and coaches really appreciate it. And like I said, I've heard that from like 7 or 8 different coaches, head coaches. 2 GMs told me that. So even just coming out of Iowa, you have a better opportunity than some other guys. Just making yourself dependable. That's what it comes down to. If a coach can trust you, and if you can make just one coach trust you, because different coaches go around the league to different teams every year. So if one coach can really trust you, he's going to bring you along with him, and that's kind of what happened for me.
You mentioned, I think before we started recording, about the New York Giants job that you were looking to do or looking to fill before COVID. What talk to us about what that is and kind of maybe where you're looking now for the future.
It was a paid internship with the Giants to be with David Tyree in player development,
Okay.
player engagement. I was supposed to do, I think it was like 9 weeks of that, and then 9 weeks of it was mostly player engagement, but it was a really cool opportunity. I really didn't want to turn it down, and that's something I'm really passionate about, is helping players at that level, just get through everyday life. Being a football player, I don't care how much money you make, it's taxing on the mental and it's taxing physically. And I've been there. I've done that. I played at the highest level. I've been a starter. I started a game. So I've been there and, been able to talk and talk the talk, walk the walk. And I can help players, deal with that day-to-day mental and physical abuse that football really takes on you. I feel like at any point, a guy can go from being the best player to the worst player just because he doesn't have somebody to talk to. And I feel like I've been there, and I can be that person that a lot of these guys can talk to. But COVID, man, I tell you, 2020, it's been it's been crazy. So it got canceled because of COVID, which sucks. But hopefully another opportunity arises. Hopefully from another NFL team. I would love to do it for the Texans. Like I said, I'm here in Houston, live in Houston now. Would love to do it at the University of Houston, player engagement, either for the Texans, Texas Southern, Rice. So I just want to be, somewhere close to Houston, be around my son. But at the same time, I know my calling is helping other athletes out, get to where they can be their best selves. So that's kind of where I want to keep my talents at.
Twofold question here. Was it hard to decide that you were done with football, playing football, and does staying involved in the game kind of help with that transition, or at least trying to do that?
It was an easy decision for me to leave football. That sounds ridiculous, but it was true. As soon as I hit 30, my body wasn't running the same as it did at 22, 23 years old. So I'm like, okay, mentally, I was one of the best players out there, but physically, nah.
Yeah.
I've been through so many playbooks, been through 4 or 5 different playbooks. A lot of the playbooks are really the same in the NFL once you get down to it. So I could talk to you play by play what everyone has to do, from receiver to quarterback to center to guard to tackle. So I was good at that. But like I said, physically, it was just tough. Just years of your ankles getting beaten up, your head getting beaten up. I knew it was time for me to kind of settle down, and I wanted to start a family. So that ended up being my main focus. Being in football, it does help mentally. For me, I was never Adam the football player. I was Adam the guy that plays football. So it was never, an identity crisis for me, which I learned a long time ago to keep it that way. So it was an easy transition, but being in football, it still does help. It helps the mental side for me. I miss being around guys, the guys, and watching competition up close and being able to just give my little bit of wisdom that I do have and put it upon somebody else that may want it or may need it.
How much of a physical toll has your body taken? I mean, do you feel it pretty much every day when you get up and try to move around? You got a 1-year-old now, you're going to be chasing him. So that's physical.
Oh yeah. I do feel it. Mentally, it's been, I don't want to say terrible, but you take a few hits to the head, it's serious.
Yeah.
I have memory loss every here and there, but like I said, that's neither here or there. What else? Oh yeah, I tore my bicep 2 years ago that they told me I didn't tear. So go ahead and play through it.
Whoa.
So I still have this torn bicep from the Bucks. So that kind of sucks. I would like it repaired. Hopefully the NFL will take care of it
Yeah.
one of these days. But be looking into that soon. Can't bend as well as I used to. Like I said, I had a few high ankle sprains between college and the pros. So that really messed up my ankles pretty good. But other than that, I came out pretty clean compared to some other guys. I know some other guys are a lot worse, so I can't complain. I really can't complain.
You talked about being involved in helping guys out, helping guys that, through the mental part of football, and, just being there and being able, having somebody to talk to is so important. Having a
Right.
mentor or somebody to listen to you, that stuff's so important. And if this recent Iowa football story has taught me anything, it's that Iowa didn't have enough of that. It didn't have, John Streif left in 2012, and
Yeah.
Fred Mims retired,
Yeah.
and a lot of guys that could be that soundboard didn't seem to have that as much. How important, you've played at Iowa, you played in the NFL. How important is it to have that, to have the ability to have somebody to listen that can listen to you?
I'll tell you this: if I didn't have somebody, and I had, my uncle, my dad, my family to talk to you, but it's different having an outside party come and talk to you. And there were some guys that really, really helped me to, figure out my way around Iowa when I thought, I was not going to be there because I wanted to leave because, I wasn't playing my junior year and I kept getting injured. Eric Campbell was one of them. Sue, great coach. Like I said, Coach Morgan, another great coach that is still a father figure to me till this day. John Streif. It might have been you. Somebody came out with an article about how great John Streif was. So I went and texted him. What was that, about 3 or 4 days ago, and we had a 15-minute conversation just about him being him. There was a story one time where some of the guys went out to the restaurant and he happened to be there, and we were eating. We were about to pay for our tab, and the lady's like, "No, that man over there is taking care of it for us." And he's walking out, and it was Streif. Streif he was one of those guys, and you can sit down and talk to him about anything. Those are my big guys that really helped me get through my career in college when I didn't think I can make it. But it's huge. It's really huge. I wish that the guys, well, I hope, I'm not gonna say wish because I know there are some guys in place, but I hope the guys take the opportunity to talk to some guys like Roderick Benz, who's been through it. He's probably your best resource, I feel, because he came from pretty much the same pedigree that I came from, home and football wise. So if the young guys get an opportunity to talk to him, I definitely advise it.
We look through this, Adam, from a lens from outside the football facility and outside the building. What was this like for you when you saw this happening last month, when James Daniels kind of got this conversation started? And it's not an easy conversation. We've heard that a lot. But
Right.
The tough conversations are necessary.
They are definitely necessary. So what happened, James, posted something, and then I think it was a couple of days later, there was a group of guys that sent text messages to each other and like, hey, let's make this group text and let's talk about our experiences and what we thought our experiences were, and let's get everybody on board to, hey, what can we do to make a difference? And I just happened to be one of those guys in the text chat, and I was happy to be a part of that because it's something that I believe needed to be talked about and needed to be taken care of. And I have 100% faith in Kirk Ferentz and that he will get it done. Coach Doyle, like I said, he was a great strength coach and he was great at what he did. And he's not a terrible guy. I'm not going to say he's a terrible guy, but there's some things that went on that I definitely didn't agree with. Some things weren't based towards me personally, one or two. But He could have handled some things better, but that's around the country. But just hearing guys and their experiences, and you you can empathize with a lot of those guys. You're just like, wow, I didn't go through that, but I can only imagine mentally how it destroyed you and ended up having you leave. We had me and Mike Daniels sat down and wrote down each name of everybody that left or was kicked out at Iowa, and there's 54 guys between 2007 and 2011, and that's a huge number.
Yeah.
That's a huge number for plenty of reasons, from one thing to the other. But like I said, I have 100% faith in Kirk Ferentz. Always have, always will, because he is, in my opinion, the best coach in college football. That he will get whatever needs to get done. So I'm happy for the program that hopefully they get it together.
We hear a lot about the term inclusive, being more inclusive for guys. In your mind,
Mm-hmm.
Adam, what would make that? Obviously, you kind of referenced Coach Doyle maybe being – I think sometimes when and maybe this isn't far-fetched either, you got guys that are a little bit older. We don't have football coaching staffs that stay for 20 years, and you kind of have to
Right.
change with the times a little bit. How can you be an inclusive environment but still demand what needs to be demanded from this game? You talked about how tough this game is, and you have to have that certain mentality, but you also have to be respected.
I agree. It takes some younger folks getting in there and talking to the coaches, but I feel like these younger folks have to be willing to listen to the older folks, and the older folks have to be willing to listen to the younger folks. Like I said, Kirk, I believe, is going to end up doing a great job. When I was playing, we couldn't have Twitter. We couldn't have Instagram. We couldn't have those certain things. And I don't think we barely had music at practice. And I heard they do a little bit of music at practice now. And guys can have Twitter. They can, speak out a little bit. Guys can wear earrings and certain things. Certain things people believe is a part of their culture. Whereas back in my day, there was none of that. There was white socks, white shoes. You wear this, you have to wear that. No earrings, no hats, no hoods, no nothing. But like I said, I haven't talked to him personally recently, but from what I've heard, he has changed some things in the program and letting you be yourself a little bit more. And I can definitely appreciate that, because it's hard losing your identity. If you believe, and it's not about a black and white thing all the time, but if your identity is your earrings or your identity is your hat, that's not hurting anybody. So go ahead and let them wear their hat or their earrings. I don't think it's hurting anybody.
One of the stories that I've heard a few times from people is the hair. You're obviously a guy who, has long hair.
Yeah.
How was that for you? I mean, was that cool? Were you all right with that? I mean, were they all right with your hair?
Which football player came out and said they got made fun of for their hair?
I know George Lewis mentioned it, but he was
Lewis?
like, he went way back. He was like 03, 04.
I read an article about a younger guy that got made fun of his hair. I guess he had one side of his hair out and one side of his hair braided. I actually got made fun of my hair too.
Was it Jaleel Johnson? I can't remember.
Somebody. Yeah,
so many stories, man. It's hard to keep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's hard to keep up with them. But I got made fun of too. I forgot. There was a couple coaches that mentioned, why are you doing that? Why would you do your hair like that? Why? Like, because I want to do it, and this is who I am, so I'm going to do it. And after a while, it wasn't a problem after that. But to be berated for a couple of days, or I forgot however long it was, about something so minute, it plays on you a little bit. It really does. I feel like I am a strong mental person when it comes to stuff like that. So I kind of just throw it out the window. It goes one ear right out the other. But for some people, it's something minute to me. It could be huge to somebody else. So I empathize with the guy that had to go through that. Like I said, my hair was disgusting my first few years when I did it. When I had in that little afro, you take your helmet off, and it was terrible. I got pictures to this day. My mom's like, "What the hell were you thinking?" I was like, like, Mom, it's okay. It's gonna look better once I get a little bit older. It grows out, it'll be done. But yeah, I got the same treatment. I really did. I got made fun of, but like I said, for me, it went through one ear and right out the other. But I definitely can empathize with the guys that it took a bigger toll on them.
I'll keep you a couple more minutes. I see your little guy probably wants a nap or something to eat.
Yeah, it's about the time.
Just in terms of, I've talked to so many people, former players, that I feel like now are like, you get, you go to the NFL, you start families, you leave the program, you're still watching on Saturdays. You're still, you're still proud to be a Hawkeye, but maybe the connection's not there as much. It seems like this is kind of brought guys together. Guys are talking more now. You talked about the text. Does it feel like that a lot of guys through the years are getting together now and saying, hey, how can we help? How can we make this change and make this the best program it can be?
It has brought guys together. It shouldn't have taken this to bring guys together. Guys here and there stay close. Like I said, me and Mike have been best friends since day one. Zusevic's, same thing. We stay together, but it's brought guys from different generations of the game together. Like a Jalil, like a James Daniels. Been in contact with both of those guys, and they've been really instrumental in this. And I hate to say that it did bring everybody together because it's just such a bad thing that went on, but I'm glad it did bring us all together because it's bringing that community and it's bringing that hard talk that we all need to have and that we're able to have. And everybody's starting to understand, okay, this is what happened. Let's get over it. And let's make it something where we can all be together. And that's what I think is going to be the biggest part of this. And I'm excited to see what the program does after we all just kind of figure out a date. Because from what I've heard, a lot of the guys are trying to get down there for a game. And we're talking like 40, 50 guys coming to a game and just hanging out and having that camaraderie. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, Adam, and I'll add my own commentary here. From all the guys that I've talked to, I think sometimes people get it twisted on the outside that feel like, hey, these guys are trying to hurt the program or bring it down. No. It couldn't be farther from the truth from all the guys that I've talked to.
Exactly.
You guys want the best.
We want the Iowa program to be Big Ten champs every year and win a national title. That was the text group that we had. That is 80% of what we talked about. We have had guys that should have been playing, that could have took us to the next level, that didn't get to play for whatever reason. And some things could have got fixed, some things couldn't have got fixed. But, we want the guys that are on the field to be the best guys. And we feel like the Iowa program can take that next step as long as those guys get the help, even if they're not the best guys. If they can get the help, they can become better guys and be great for the football program. And we just want to see everybody excel to the next level. That's what it comes down to. We want to see the Iowa program be the best program because we know, and we've been there, and we've gotten to, like I said, we've been to the Orange Bowl. We were number 9 in the nation. We know what it felt like to be one of the best teams in the nation, and we just want all the younger guys to feel that same feeling that we had in 2009.
Well said, man. I really appreciate you taking time and juggling the little guy so we could do this podcast. And
anytime, brother.
I'll let you give your full attention to him now. And but thanks for all the insight, man. It was great. I was like, when's the last time I interviewed Adam? And it was pre-draft outside of the bubble, man.
Oh my gosh!
I still have the video somewhere.
Yes, I think it's on YouTube. And if you have that video, send it to my Twitter. And I hate plugging things but
oh please, man, I'm sorry.
If you want to talk about anything that's going on with the Iowa program pertaining to what's going on right now, and you want any kind of answer, or you just want to talk about it, being good or bad, I am willing to talk about it. We can talk whatever you want to talk about it, and it will be respectful. It will be whatever you want it to be. You may not get the answer that you want, but I'm going to give you the best answer that I can provide. My Twitter is, what is it? Just look up Adam Gettis. I'll be the first guy on there.
Not on duty.
Not on duty. That's what it is. I made that up years ago.
So you're saying you're telling fans to come? You're telling fans that they can ask you questions on Twitter?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
I am not opposed to answering questions because I'm going to give you the real. And some people may not want to hear the real, but it is the real, and I'm going to give it the best possible answer that I can.
Okay, my man. Well, the little guy wants. What's the little guy's name?
Aiden Gettis.
Aiden Gettis. Well, happy birthday, Aiden. Have a good time. He's like, man, just hang up. All right, Adam. Thanks again, man. You be well. All right. It was great to talk to you.
Anytime, brother. It's good talking to you too.
Take care.
Don't make it another 8 years before we talk again.
No way.
All right.
Take care, bub.
You too.
Thanks.